everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet $50 on any game. Get up to $1,111 in free bets courtesy of the Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for. All right, let's keep the conversation going on the Week 3 college football slate. And let's switch gears to a game that I think is, frankly, kind of an interesting one. Western Kentucky at Ohio State on paper does not look like anything resembling a marquee matchup. Ohio State comes in as a 29-point favorite. The over-under is set at 64. But to me, this is an interesting game for a number of different reasons. The first and most important, Ohio State officially has its QB1 after months of speculation, after spring ball, after a summer of what is going to happen, who's going to be the guy. Then you get into fall camp, and it seems as though every day there's a new report speculating something different. Week 1, week 2, we see both Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Well, earlier this week, Ryan Day says officially, Kyle McCord is my QB1 going forward. No more flip-flopping, no more splitting snaps. Kyle McCord is our guy. Listen, I like the move from Ryan Day. It's not all that shocking. You needed to make a decision soon. You have to get a quarterback in there. 1, just to get all the first-team reps, and 2, to build some momentum going into the tough part of the schedule starting next week at Notre Dame. So Kyle McCord is your guy, and I am fascinated to see him in that role against Western Kentucky. Thought he looked better last week. Now, listen, they played Youngstown State last week, Indiana the week before. I know it's a Big Ten road game, but that was not as though that is anything resembling the toughest game on their schedule. But I bring it up because I did think McCord looked pretty comfortable and more confident last week. 14 of 20 passing, 258 yards, 3 scores. By the way, did you see Marvin Harrison's stat line last week? 7 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Marvin Harrison is in midseason form. Marvin Harrison is playing like a Heisman Trophy contender. Also thought it was kind of just a solid across-the-board victory for Ohio State, which pulled away in that game. They did have about 125 yards rushing, about 5 yards per carry, and the defense continues to be lights out. Again, I understand it's Indiana. I understand it's Youngstown State. But this is a team that through 2 games, they are giving up just 5 points per game. And they are also nationally in the top 5 in total defense, giving up a grand total of 193 yards per game. So year 2 under Jim Knowles, this is what you want to see. The competition is going to get tougher, but this is what you want out of a very, very talented defensive group. I will say this, though. I do think that defensive group will be tested on Saturday. Western Kentucky can move the football now, okay? For people who don't know much about the Hilltoppers, fascinating team, fascinating offense. Austin Reed is their quarterback. A year ago, Western Kentucky was actually ranked number 2 nationally in pass offense, okay? Washington was number 1. Western Kentucky was number 2. They threw for more yards than Tennessee and Hendon Hooker. They threw for more yards than Caleb Williams and USC. They threw for more yards than Bo Nix in Oregon. You go on and on down the list of all the great passing offenses. Take out Michael Penix in Washington. Western Kentucky and Austin Reed was as good or better than all of them. This year, he has not missed a beat. Western Kentucky comes into this game 2-0. And in the 2 games, he's looked very good. This guy that's passed for close to 600 yards in those 2 games, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Here's the interesting part from the Ohio State perspective, though. That defense has been really bad so far. So Western Kentucky, as I record here, going into this game, they gave up 540 yards in a win to South Florida, And last week they played Houston Christian. Houston Christian. We're talking FCS, baby. And Western Kentucky finished the game giving up. It wasn't pretty. Let me put it that way. It wasn't pretty against Houston Christian. They gave up almost 5 yards per carry to Houston Christian. And on the season, Western Kentucky, again, having played South Florida and having played Houston Christian, 121st nationally in total defense. Like, this isn't Colorado that's played 2 Power 5 teams. They haven't played Ohio State. They haven't played Michigan. They've played Houston Christian and South Florida, 121st nationally. And so when I look at this game, what stands out to me I think Ohio State has a field day, and I think that's good. I think they need to. I know you don't want to give away too much before Notre Dame, but this is a game where you have to get everything clicking. Got to get the ground game clicking, which you should be able to, again, against a Western Kentucky defense that could not get off the field against, once again, Houston Christian, 131st nationally in rush defense. And then you let McCord cook. Let him get the ball to Emeka Egbuka. Let him get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Let him do what he needs to do to get in sync and get in rhythm. And then from the Ohio State perspective on defense, I'll just be fascinated to see, can they really limit that passing attack? In terms of a pick, I do like the over in this game. I'm not saying that Western Kentucky marches up and down the field. I do think they can probably put up somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 to 21 points, somewhere in there. And as I said, I think Ryan Day, I think he opens up the playbook probably a little bit more than you would think. Lets everybody get into a rhythm, lets Kyle McCord throw the ball, and gets ready for Notre Dame. My official pick, I'll say Ohio State 49 to 21 is the final. The over hits, Ohio State wins, over hits, and we get ready for Notre Dame next week.